Okay, so welcome. I'm Nick Bosco. I'm the owner of Bosco Design Group. I'm a creative director. I've had about 15 years experience. I come from package design, advertising, publication, industry from a marketing perspective. So I've been around branding for quite a long time. And so basically, the one thing that I've run into, especially when it comes to small business owners, is that they never have really examined their brand. They've never really thought about what branding really is. And people, we never even just really consider how branding affects our lives. So that's kind of, the idea of what I wanted to kind of start off with, is really how is branding, intertwined with our lives. And so just turn to page one and just have a real quick quote, which is, unless you have absolute clarity of what your brand stands for, everything else is irrelevant. This really captures it all. Whether it be in business or anything that you're doing, anything that you're trying to build, if you don't know what your brand is, you don't know who you are. And you are a brand. The one thing that I talk about with people when we were talking about branding, I said, all right, well, when you meet somebody for the first time, and then you go and you tell your friend about that person, what are the first things that you say? Oh, well, yeah, I met John. John is really, he seemed like a real trustworthy guy. Or, well, Jeff is really energetic. Or that person's really talkative. Or that person's really negative. Or, wherever those key words come from, you've just branded that person. And in turn, they've branded you. So branding comes from the human experience. So the second quote is, the true cultural connection is the holy grail for brands if they want to create an enduring emotional relationship with people. So we're connecting with people every day in our everyday lives. We are a brand, whether we like it or not. We are our company's brand. We are our personal brand. When we walk outside, when we figure out what we're going to put on in the morning time, how we cut our hair, how we shave, it's all branding. You can look at it from a perspective of a business, so we're trying to figure out what's our website look like, what's my brochure look like, what's my business cards look like, what does all this stuff look like? You're trying to figure out what you're wearing for the day, or what you're wearing when you walk outside of your business, or what you're wearing when you walk outside of your house. So it's all branding. I just put together this little game. So you turn to page 3 and 4. I wanted to just have a quick contest and to see who could find and recognize these brands the quickest. The reason why I wanted to just point out a couple is because, like for example, Target, expect more, pay less. So if we can sum that message up in one word, what would that word be? Value. Value. Exactly the word I was looking for. Gatorade. Sports drink. It's a thirst quencher. If you think about Gatorade, what would be one word that would sum up Gatorade? What does it help you do? What do they always talk about?
Endurance.
Endurance and, in relation to sports and energy, and when you drink this, you're gonna do something better. Bless you. You're gonna do your sport better. You're gonna, So what's the word that we're thinking of?
Excelling.
What are you doing? Like if you drink Gatorade and you're on stage, what are you doing on that stage? Performing. Performance. Talking about one word, performance. It's a performance-enhancing drink, right? So if you look at Subway, eat fresh. Healthy, right? Healthy. Okay. So before we even get into these logos and what they look like and everything like that, there are words that represent the brands. Keywords. It could be one word. It could be, remember I said, when you meet somebody for the first time, you describe them in one word, right? It's just one word. What's that one thing that people are going to be like, that describes this person. We can do the same thing with every single one of these brands. We communicate and they communicate to us in a very complex manner. Maybe 5 different words, maybe 2 different words, maybe 3 different words. Okay? That's what we really want to pay attention to right now, is those words. Okay? So, turns us to the next page in the presentation, which is branding for business. And this is kind of our opening discussion. It's in the words. Everything regarding to branding is to do with the words. We can be a photographer, and we can be a graphic designer, and we could be a filmmaker, and we could be a director, we could be a writer. If we haven't written down those words that represent the idea that we're trying to communicate, nobody knows what they're doing. Everybody's like, oh, well, I think it's going to look like this, or I think it's going to sound like this, or I think it's going to look and move like this, and there's nothing that's cohesive. So you see all these companies that are out there, you look at their collateral, you look at their print material, you look at their website, and you're like, whoa, what's going on? This looks totally different than this. And then they'll tell you the story. Well, we had a marketing director who, in 1975, they did this, and then, they got fired, and then somebody else came in, and they brought their own stuff in, and then, and we never really examined the brand. We just hired a marketing director, and then they came in and then they did whatever, And you will hear that story from every small business owner who had a family business from 100 years ago till now. And until they finally said, wait a second, what is our brand? And we need to create a Bible for our brand so that everybody who comes into our shop will be able to know this is how we're supposed to look. This is how we're supposed to communicate. So what's the most important? Who are the people who we need to communicate brands to?
Customers.
The customers, and also who else?
Competitors.
Competitors, yeah, sure. Well, what I'm really getting at is employees. Employees need to know what your brand is. If you haven't extended the brand to your staff for your employees, you're headed towards a volcano of who am I supposed to hire and how are they supposed to represent the company? Abercrombie and Fitch, everybody familiar with Abercrombie and Fitch? Mm-hmm. Right? So they were really big sticklers for brand, right? The only problem is that their brand represented this young, youthful, attractive lifestyle. Problem was that their human resources person decided that that's the only type of people that they could hire. And then they got in big trouble for discrimination lawsuits and stuff like that. But they stayed true to their brand. You know what I mean? So, they did what they had to do. But I just had to say that they knew and understood their brand, and it carries throughout everything that they do. And if you look at a lot of these companies that we had on the sheet before, anybody who represents Pepsi or Coca-Cola and McDonald's and Burger King, they know what that brand represents. Walmart, if you've ever been to a Walmart at 9 o'clock in the morning, they're all doing the Walmart chant. Give me a W, give me an A, give me an L. They're doing this in the back of the store. And I just had the chance to walk in one day, and I'm like, why is everybody screaming in the store? And they were getting all pumped up, representing the brand of Walmart. You represent the brand of Walmart. Yes, go out and serve people. Be helpful. Be attentive to your customers. These are the key tenets of Walmart's brand. Give value to the people when they come into the store. So value, service, price. Think about that. Just simple words that dictate our entire existence, as staff members of the brand. And then it's communicated, effectively to the customers, or the audience that we're trying to reach, that we have value. That we have so much value that you should come. And not only do you maybe want to come to our store, you need to come to our store. So now our brand creates the value, the desire to explore, and then it creates a need. And you can see how that happens throughout all different types of all different types of products out there. So then it goes to the next slide. What is branding? Is it a logo? Is it a name? We kind of just went over a little bit about that. Maybe you might think it's, some people think, when they think of branding, that it's a logo. Like, they start a business and the first thing that they call me about is, "Hey, can you design me a logo for your business?" And I'm like, okay, well, what is your business? Well, we're a plumbing company. Okay, well, so what's your brand? They're like, what do you mean? We're a plumbing company. I'm like, okay, well, how are you different than other plumbing companies? How am I supposed to tell you apart from another plumbing company? So my first question is to you is, what is your brand? And if you can't tell me, well, our brand is based on integrity. When we deliver an estimate to your house, that's how much it's going to cost, no matter what. No matter what problems we face, that's our promise to you. It could be speed. We're the fastest in the industry. It could be price. We're cheaper than the other guys, right? These are all basic tenets of what that brand represents and how that brand differentiates themselves from the other companies that are in their market segment. Which is why we were talking about ties as well, right? Hippolito, what is it that you do now?
I'm a tailor. I have a vintage store, and we do alteration and custom made.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, great.
Did you say vintage store?
Hmm?
You say vintage store?
Vintage. So it's like hard to brand because I have a bunch of stuff together, right?
You got vintage materials too?
Vintage clothes.
Where are you located?
Yeah.
You went to my shop.
It was you on Church Street.
Yeah,
You're right on Park
no,
Street.
Bloomfield, 344 Bloomfield Ave, just here in Montclair.
Yes. Okay, great.
A Montclair?
Yeah.
You sell fabric down there?
No, but like you have a vintage suit if you like vintage dresses. If you have a suit that is big for you, we fit it. If you want a suit from scratch, we make it for you, for your wife, for your kids.
Perfect. I have a client that just joined that is a custom suit maker. And we're going through right now the same exact thing of how do we brand them?
Yeah.
And in your space, I could talk to you specifically about your space because I've done a whole bunch of research now about your space and all your competitors in your space. And it's all over,
Yeah.
What do you charge for your suits right now? For a full suit?
Right from 175, 200, 250, and you could go 90, 75, depending what
Okay.
you're getting. Like something that I have in the store. If you wanna send to customize something, that is another history. Then you're gonna be talking about $1,000 if you want a suit.
Mm-hmm.
If you want a pants, you're gonna be talking about $250. So this is you need to have the relation with this kind of customer who appreciate and have the money to pay that kind of money. So it's not an easy thing to do, but for that I'm doing so many stuff together because you can combine everything and get it done. And then you can,
Absolutely. So, kind of leads me to my next slide, which is what is the foundation of the brand? Right now, in your current state, you're already in business.
yeah.
You're already operating. You have a brick and mortar location. Your price point is in relationship to your competition, like the Walmart of custom suits. You are on the low end of the pricing scale, like tremendously on the low end. I mean, that's affordable for anybody.
Yeah.
So the one thing that you have to consider is if that's your brand strategy, and if that's your brand essence, that you want to create custom clothing that's affordable for anybody, that can work for you.
Well, I think we lost the capacity to pay for quality because everything in this sample, you can go to the store and for 275 suit, $1, you can get a really fitted, nice suit.
But it's a ready-made suit.
It's ready-made suit.
Mhm.
But what happened with that? Most of the young people, they don't even have wear a suit. Never. You have a guy that never use a dress pant. So, in another hand, yeah, $1,000 is not so much money, but even though it's tough to get this kind of, because people don't make the money, so you have to have a relation with these people who make the money and value quality. And you should know that because if you see just now, you have all those companies growing up offering custom-made suit, and they're giving you those crazy prices. But what happened with that? Example, $600 a custom-made suit. You don't get in custom-made suit. You send the measurement, they send this thing to China, and they put a fusible in your suit, and if you dry clean it, it's fucked up. Sorry the language. But people, they don't know what they getting. They think they getting something custom-made. I have a work.
And enough for it to be custom made, but you have to go there, get it measured, get it put on, you know.
Yeah, and it's a difference. Like I have this feeling with
Perception.
with the guy that created the Essence magazine. They sold it to Times like 11 years ago. They doing a book now. They making. So I was the tailoring set. He have 3 suits. He fit the first one, and he don't know how he have a tailor there. We paint it. He have the second one, but when they have the third one, the way this suit fit and feel, so he knows what happened. That was a Tom Ford suit. You're talking about $300 to $5,000 for this suit. But the tough thing in my case, I can do it all. The problem is you to get the people who really appreciate and have the money to cover
Right.
those and know about value.
Okay. So, 2 things that came up was perception, right? Price point sometimes affects perception. If your prices are too low, people perceive your stuff as cheap.
Yeah.
If your prices are extremely high, maybe they can't afford them, but at least they think, oh, it must be something.
Yeah.
So perception, like you talk about the other guys, they're getting like this money. And it's not that they're not getting it, they're getting it. Because they're creating this perception of value. So what we call is perceived value. Right, perceived value. I don't need to write it, so I don't feel like erasing, but perceived value, okay? Perceived value. So you look at a situation where, let's talk about cars. A car has 4 wheels, right? Each car has a certain function, takes you to point A to point B. Sometimes there's, a navigation system in there. Sometimes there's a satellite radio in there. Sometimes there's heat warmers. These little add-ons. Perception of increased value. However, no matter if you paid $1 million for your car, or you're driving a Yugo for $150 in a monthly payment, if that car gets a flat tire, you're all in the same situation.
Yeah.
The perception that, I've got to pay so much more for this car because it has there's all this more value. It's so much more valuable than this other one. And you're in the design and manufacturing of custom clothing, so it's all about perceived value. If you put on this little cufflink that's made of platinum instead of silver, oh, well, that's going to jack up the price. If you do this little, lapel change from this standard lapel to this lapel, though, that's going to up the price. There's so many different perceptions as to, okay, well, even if I come in and do like a 1-hour consultation with you because it's me, that's going to up the price, as opposed to one of my junior associates who, maybe not as experienced as me because I'm the owner and I'm, 15 years or 20 years or 30 years into this. There's value into that. So the perception of your pricing right now is completely taking you out of your marketplace. You're competing with Target, Walmart, from their price points. If I go into the suit section of Target and Walmart, I can get a $300 suit. You know what I mean? If I can go to Conway's or if I can go to any one of these other places, I can get a $300 suit. I just went to, what is it? Men's Warehouse. Yeah, I went to Men's Warehouse. Got 3 suits for like $600. You know what I mean? That's sort of like ready-made suits, and then you give them to the guy, and then they take them in the back and they trim them down for you, whatever, and then they're like, hey, I got 3 ready-made suits for a couple $100. But I'm not your market, right? And you have a brick and mortar store, but your market is attorneys, doctors, corporate executives. So there's a certain level of you going out into the field and you making connections with people, or you're spending a buttload of money on magazine ads and executive jet magazines. No, not jet magazine, but magazines that have private jets. You know what I mean? Like those type of things. American Express executive magazine, travel magazines, luxury travel magazines. Like your marketing and your branding has to be taken to a place, and that will dictate your price, right?
Yeah.
So your price is hugely dictated off of your branding. But what are you promising the people? You haven't decided that yet.
Of course, yes, I know. Quality
Quality, right?
and fee, that is very important. Like example, you get 3 suits, right? What happens when you go to those warehouse and you get a suit? Sometimes everybody's not the same, but like me, I like my stuff in some kind of way. I want it like that. When you go to those places and get, if you are very particular, you often don't get what you really need. So you have 2 options. If you don't have the money or the appreciation to get you a tailor and go from scratch, but you like to look in some kind of way, you're gonna have to find you a good tailor, because the guy of the store, they're gonna do you a very crappy job, because they don't get incentive to do that. And then if you come to me, then you're gonna end up paying me the same money you pay for the suit if you wanna really look good and fitted.
Right.
It's gonna cost you the same money that you pay for the suit to do it. And what happened with that? When you come the first time, then you say, why you pinning me here? Why you taking me there? No, it's too tight or too that. But when you get the first one, then I'm gonna have problem with you, because you're gonna be so educated that you know what you want. And when you go out there, you will know it. People will tell you, man, you look good today, what you doing? And when you get this feedback, you never gonna go back, but it's gonna cost you money. And not everybody have this money, or some people don't have the appreciation.
There's people who have money here.
Well,
Go to my store,
Who have money here.
So here's the question, okay? So you say, you understand that there's a market demographic of people who don't have the money to pay for quality, right? But this is your brand. This is what you represent.
Yeah.
So the question is here's the population. This is the group of the population who cannot pay for quality. This is the group of the population who could pay for quality. Who are you marketing to?
I should be marketing to this kind of people, but on top of you get somebody that do the branding for you or put your name out there, especially in those kind of business, the most important thing is who you know,
Absolutely.
the connection. And sometimes because your background in society or where you come from, you can fight and try to get by peace those relations.
Well, you need somebody to represent, even if you don't, you need somebody, you know, like we were talking about with, P. Diddy, Sean Combs, somebody who reaches, who can talk to those people. Right.
You need a brand ambassador. You need somebody who represents your brand, and like we said, you communicate your brand. Now, your brand is you. You're the quality maker. You're the skilled person. That person has to represent you. They're your agent. You know, if you're a professional athlete, they're your Jerry Maguire. You know, who's out there, you know, talking to who you need to talk to, who has the money. You're behind the scenes. So you find some young, slick guy who can talk to talk and walk to walk, and when he's walking around in your suits, he's like, bam! And then he can talk, and he can close a deal, and he can demand the price point that you need to demand, and he's got fancy watches on and all the little blings and everything like that. But he represents all the quality that you carry out of your store.
Gotcha.
That's your brand ambassador. Because quality is your brand. You want to represent quality. You're a custom tailored suit maker. Do you promise speed?
Yeah, we do that. We do that, and yeah, we do.
All right, here's the triangle. Speed, quality, I'm just going to put a Q, and price. You know the whole statement, right? You can't have all three. You can only have two.
Yeah.
Okay? You can't have all three. So remember that, because here you say, you know, we are quality. And you're like, well, no, it's speed. Now, if you say, okay, you want the highest quality custom tailored suit around, you come to us. If you want a ready-made, quick thing, go to Men's Warehouse.
Yeah.
Go to Walmart. Go to the other guys. They'll fit your price point because they're cheap and they're fast. You want the aged experience. You want the 1969 cognac that's been aged for 50 years. You want that experience? You have to come to us. And by the way, we have that in the back in case you want a glass while you're waiting for us to fit your suit. Like, you know, now you're talking quality. You're talking a luxurious experience. You're talking, we cater to you. So the two things that you want to consider is quality, service. Right? Don't mind my spelling. Quality and service.
Service could be like, okay, if he can come to you, you pack up and go to him. Oh, you know.
Just in his space, I know for a fact most of these custom suit guys, tailors, they go to the business.
Yeah.
You got a friend who owns a law firm, you're there.
You got 15 minutes. You got 15
Got
minutes.
15 minutes,
Take the measurement.
measure you up, boom. We'll come back with your swatches, boom, 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 boom. We got your order, you're good to go. You're an attorney. You go to Skadden Arps at 40,000 associates. You know, if you can't get 1% of their, you know, their customers to buy your suits, you know, then there's a problem. But there's millions of attorneys, there's millions of doctors, there's millions of people who make over $250,000 a year who would be like, that's exactly the
But
type of
there's
suit
people
that I
who pay
want.
that for T-shirts around here. Pay $250 for a T-shirt.
Right.
Yeah.
Around here. I mean, like, you got Upper Montclair, you got Upper Mountain Avenue right there, you got Ridgewood Avenue and Glen Ridge right down there. There's people in this area that have money that spend it on nothing.
Right. So it leads me to my next slide, which is the interactive experience. So, in relation, it's actually a blessing that you're here, so we can actually use your business as a tenant. The interactive experience of dealing with you personally is a brand experience. You know, they come in, they come to your store, they may have heard about it from a friend of theirs, which is another interactive experience, which hopefully their friend referred them because they had a good experience with you. And they say, oh, go to Hippolito's store, man, it's awesome, it's really great, you know, he does a really great job, he made me look fantastic. All right, cool. When I'm getting married, or when I have to go to that special event or that inaugural ball or whatever, I'm gonna give them a call, and they come in, and then what we call brand touch points, right? So brand touch point is your store, right? Brand touch point is phone conversation. Brand touch point is social media. Brand touch point is brochures. All these are brand touch points. How do I touch your brand? Conversations with people that I have with friends. Those are brand touch points. These are all branding things that happen that affect your business, that affect everything around it. And it could be positive, it could be negative. We always say, one unsatisfied customer equals 100 unsatisfied customers, right? Because they're all touching each other, and it's social media at its best. But it has nothing to do with the computer. It's all people talking, right? And so the interactive experience of your brand is so, so important. And that's the thing that you have to teach your employees or anybody who works for you. And that's the thing, even yourself, you have to think about, very importantly, when people walk into your doors, how are they greeted and how are they dismissed? What are they left with? What's that feeling that they've left with? Do they feel like they were taken advantage of? Do they feel like they got value? Do they feel like this was an experience that completely blew them away? They were expecting, to go in and maybe get one suit, and they came out with like the best suit that they've ever had in their life, and they just want to scream from the mountaintop because this is an amazing experience. That's branding. It has nothing to do with photography, has nothing to do with advertising or anything like that. The experience is the brand experience, and that is stronger than any $50,000 ad buy or $1 million ad buy in the Super Bowl. Because you're a small business. If you have that type of brand experience, you're going to be successful. Everybody's talking about that. So, what's important is you're in a service industry.
Yeah.
And if your promise is quality, right now you're playing here.
All right.
You're in that space right now. If you're saying, which is fine, hey, cheap suits really fast. That's a good slogan.
Yeah.
And that will get you a certain market share in the area. But if it's this, you're way off with this.
Okay.
Because you're not selling that. Like I went to Comb, which is right around the corner from you. The hair salon. For a men's cut, they charge $25. The first time I went there, it was during the holidays. I just got lucky, I guess. But I sat down on the chair, and they're like, they had all this liquor on the counter. And I'm like, is that for us? And they're like, oh yeah, absolutely. It's have a drink. And I was like, I've never had a drink at a hair salon ever before in my life. This is really awesome. And so I was like, cool, this is great. So I sat back, and he was like, oh, what do you want to do? He's putting my thing, I'm having my drink. I'm like, okay, cool, this is great. And I went back there like 3 or 4 times after that.
Yeah, very practical.
The experience.
That experience. A little bit of like, oh, this is different. This is something I've never done before. Sure, they're twice as expensive as if I were to go down the street to Supercuts.
Yeah, but they make you feel like dancing.
Mm-hmm. Make you feel like dancing. So the next slide is successful brands were born out of word-of-mouth advertising, where someone provided a service or product that went above and beyond expectations of the recipient.
Where are we? Okay, thanks.
Okay. So it's just what we're talking about. It's just everybody has expectations. And if you supersede those expectations, you're going to be successful. You're building a brand. You're building a brand of expectation crushers, right? So that's really the way you want to think about your businesses. How are people expecting their human experience on a regular basis? If you come to any clothier, or if you come to any tie company, Kim, what are you doing? Anything?
Well, for money?
No, I mean, like, what do you want to do?
Well, I want to sing. That's. I want to, I want to do local. I want to work when I want, and not work when I don't.
So you're a graphic designer?
Pardon me?
You're a graphic designer?
No, I
She's a
sing.
singer.
You sing.
We sing
yeah.
together at
We
karaoke
sing,
sometimes.
yeah. Um,
Okay, so singing,
But,
you want to be
yeah.
in the talent industry.
mhm.
So you're entering the talent industry. You yourself are a brand. Now, talk about talent, brand positioning, quality, service, brand positioning, what type of music.
Uh, I can do, my range is pretty vast. I have a lot of interest, but more jazz.
Jazz.
Mhm.
Okay, so jazz. See, music is niche in itself. So if you want to be a jazz musician, what style of jazz?
Well, when you think of Sarah Vaughan or Nina Simone,
So in that genre of style of Nina Simone and Sarah Vaughan, but then how do you make it yours?
well, by combining the old-fashioned glamour with new, current. Uh,
So you think the old one and give it a new age spin?
Bruno Mars is doing it right now. Janelle Monáe is doing it right now. Doo-wop and Hooligans, right? I mean, like his whole show is the guys set up in suits with the, they got the horns and everything like that, and they're doing all the
You're back in
dances, everything's
1970.
syncopated. It's the 50s, you know.
Mhm.
But the sound and the music and the energy is all popping. It's all now. It's all current. But he's just completely updated it. And same with Janelle Monáe. I mean, she's really taken it to a point where it's like, whoa.
I don't get her.
She's
I don't get her.
she is in that same vein as Bruno Mars, but she's probably in a conflicted phase because she probably sees all the girls who are just slutting it up and
Yeah.
all that stuff and twerking all day long, and she's a real class act. You know what I mean?
So you don't even know.
For some reason, I know the name. I just can't remember any of the
Janelle
songs.
Monáe, she's like the face of Revlon. She's
Oh.
yeah, she got the hair thing and everything like that going on. It's
I
very
actually,
iconic.
I love her for some reason.
Yeah, fantastic. But
She's a really great musician.
if you ever see her band perform on stage, it's like watching Bruno Mars, but female.
Yes. Yeah.
She gave you that
It's a good show. It's a really good show. I happen to see her.
Chris.
Let me ask you something crazy. Like in the 80s, I'm Dominican and Haitian. Like we have merengue, we have bachata that is all over, and we have Perico Ripiao that gonna be the next Latin big thing. So in the 80s, if you wanna listen bachata, you wanna put it in somewhere nobody listen because you don't want anybody know, because it was so low the way people sees you when you listen that music. What happened? In the 80, 85, the Dominican guys start making bunch of money here and going down with the Mercedes, the Bentleys, and putting this music. So from the 80 to now, reality, then you have all those Dominican young guys born here, and they all over doing duet with Usha, with all those guys, and
Because
making
they're
tons of
blending.
money.
They're
How do
they're
you think this transition?
because they are now marketing to pop audiences. They're making it pop, and more people who actually have money to buy the music are buying it. Who buy tickets because they don't make money basically really off of records. The record company.
Well,
does.
let's bring it back to the subject, right? Let's talk about the branding.
Music, 'cause you suck.
Let's talk
Yeah,
about.
I mean,
But the people but there are people who like it. There are people who will pay for the concerts, who will pay for the T-shirts, who will get their hair cut like this person,
Yeah, I
who
think they're
will,
just some of the movement. They just want to be part of the movement. But other than that,
But
music
even
is
stuff that is
garbage.
good, there's some stuff that's good, but it's like that, like you were saying that, like, this stuff has been around before. It's just the way that it's marketed now.
the guys who are really back down, those guys in the 80s, the houses were like a fifth of this room with no cover, with no guys that don't have even nothing to it. Those guys, getting $100,000 fully mysterious, stadium all over. Just from the 90, 80 to this time. So it should be a big job.
But things go up and down though.
Well, I think you can bring it back to Jesus Christ, who didn't come from being very rich.
Yeah.
You know, he's got billions of followers, you know what I mean? It don't matter where you come from, it's all about where you're going. And at the end of the day, if they had a great idea and they stuck with it for 30 years and they worked on it and they continued to hone it and craft it and expose it to people and share it with people, the word is eventually going to spread. If it's quality, if it has quality, you know, and everybody has different ways that they respond to quality. So that could be it. And you never know when something is going to hit. That's why they tell every great entrepreneur, if you have a dream, do it. And just go for it. Because you're never going to know. If it's sitting there in your briefcase, you never know. You might as well take the risk and go about it. And here's guys who, what are they going to do? If they continue to pursue this form of music that everybody thinks that they're crazy about, what are they going to do? Lose their house? They have no house. You know what I mean? So they have nothing to lose.
I like, this is one of my favorite lines. I had nothing to lose.
Yeah, you have nothing to lose. They have nothing to lose. So you have everything to gain. Keep following the dream. Keep following the dream. Keep the dream alive. Because what is success? Everybody has a different measure of success. Was their measure of success 2 people listening to it that didn't listen to it yesterday? And maybe that's just their vision. Hey, listen, here's my vision. My vision is that eventually everybody in the world is going to listen to this music. My strategy is 3 people a day. I'm going to expose it to 3 people a day. And then those 3 people are going to expose it to 3 people a day. And we're going to just grow it like that. That's your strategy. But the vision has to be set, which is another component of branding. When we talk about the key tenets of your core values, okay, which comes to the next slide, which is true or false, you are a brand. True, right? You're a brand. Every one of us was born, we have a mother and a father, and they taught us core values. Every one of us has different core values. Here comes into the plays of diversity. Everybody has different views on sex and race and religion and all these different tenets of what we call our value system. And that affects who we are and what is our personal brand. For example, if I walk into a bar in Florida and I happen to be waving a gay pride flag, I might get shot. You know what I mean?
Miami, you're okay.
Okay, maybe in Miami I'm okay, right? But maybe Arizona or Kansas now, you know, wherever they're having these anti-gay laws, that's a danger.
Yeah.
But those are branding tenets. I mean, if I'm branded and I'm proud and I'm out there and that's branded, right? And so every one of us that's visually branded, right? America loves to visually brand everybody, okay? And then all those core values of that visual brand come into place. So we're all brands, and we're all been branded by society, and we all have stereotypes, which, you know, that's society telling us what our core values are, instead of us being able to express what our core values are. So that's reverse branding, I guess you could say, right? And that's the prejudice of the world and so on and so forth. But, you know, we all have our own different upbringings, and our nurture versus nature may conflict, you know, because everybody's out there is saying that, oh, well, you should behave this way, or you're so different, or how come you're so well-spoken, or, you know, how come you don't have an accent?
When I sing rock, people are like, what, why are you singing?
Why are you singing rock?
Why are you singing rock? It's like, well, you know, as a matter of fact, to be honest with you, rock was invented off of, if you go back to the beginnings of it, spiritual music.
Right.
And then you got soul music, and now you have rock, which is off. So it's like, don't tell me what I can sing.
Right.
You know, people are very shocked by what I can sing. You know,
because they don't know your brand. They don't know who you are as a person. They don't know what your brand is. And you haven't shared it with them because you're not out there advertising what your brand is. This is my brand. This is my brand. This is my brand. This is who I am. This is, you know, you're not self-promoting yourself in that way. When they meet you and they talk to you and they walk away and then they're like, oh, man, she was really nice, or she's really worldly, or she's so well-rounded. You know, they may walk away with that, or they may walk away with, oh, she's just trying to be a poser. She's just trying to be somebody. Like whatever their anticipation is, whatever it is, they're gonna brand you either way. And that's the thing too about branding as well, is when you walk out of the door, and even your company, you can't try to please everybody.
Yeah, you say it.
You can't be everything to everybody, because not everybody's going to like you. No matter how hard you try to please them as a business, as a person, you're never going to please them. So you stay true to what your brand is and your promises and your integrity, and if they don't like it, they can go take a hike. There's other people out there. There's other companies out there. There's other things that they can do, that they can, interact with. That's perfectly fine, because there's some people who are just not going to like you just because of the way you look or the way you smile or how many teeth you have or don't have. You know what I mean? That's just the world. But you can't bend your brand because that one person doesn't like you. The new startup that I'm working with right now, they're having the same struggle. Like when one person's like, I ain't got time for you. And and he's like, well, no, wait, let's have this conversation, and he's just like, oh no, I ain't got time for you. And I just was like listening to him on the phone. I was like, he gets off the phone. I'm like, why are you trying to give this guy the farm? If he doesn't like you, if he doesn't want the product, then just go, move along, keep moving forward. Why is that person's love so important? We do that as individuals. This person, we really want to be with this person, and we're willing to sacrifice our personal integrity for that individual or for that client, and it's the same thing. So yes, true. We are a brand, and all the same principles of our integrity, our own personal value, what we're worth, goes into our company as well, or just our brand. So when you think about your company and the quality of your service and what it's worth, now you can start thinking about your price.
Yeah.
And don't bend. Just because other people can't afford you doesn't mean that you have to change who you are. Because that's your brand. And you're promising this to everybody who walks into your door. Because all of a sudden, if you say, I'll give you this for this, and everyone's like, well, what happened, man? How come you didn't give me that for that, man? Oh, man, now I feel played out.
Then you're going to get a problem, because, we're charging somebody 5 times now, we're charging somebody else.
And that's the hard part for us as small businesses to really deal with, because we don't want to turn away business. But there's one thing that I've learned is that you have to qualify clients. You have to qualify them. You have to say, look, this is what it costs. And attorneys, very funny. Oh yeah, it's going to cost you $15,000. Like, who has $15,000? And you say, well, I don't have $15,000. We're like, well, I guess I'm not the attorney for you. It's a real cut and dry conversation. It's really kind of like, oh, like it hurts, You're like, oh my God, okay, I guess I'm not working with you. But that's exactly how you have to put it. Yeah. Because, you have to maintain your price point. You have to make sure that you make your margins, and we always bend backwards.
I told a friend that I want to sing at a particular establishment, and I said the truth is, I love doing it. So I would pay you to let me sing. He was like, don't do that, because regardless of that, it's what you're saying to people about your product.
Right.
It's like, maybe you can volunteer at a hospital and sing for the, the old people or whatever. But if you're going to be in an establishment, he says, don't start that. Don't tell anyone that you, because, like you said, if you give something away, you convey sometimes that it's not worth, something, and it is worth something. So,
Mm-hmm.
Establish that from the beginning, because you don't want to backpedal later.
Right. And there's right now, with the age of the internet, there's a thing what we call the freemium model, which is you could register on my website for free. You could interact with Facebook for free. For life. It doesn't. We're never going to charge you for our basic usage of our website or our product or something like that, to be a member of this group. We're never going to charge you for that. However, once you're a member, we're going to have this awesome event, and members get in for 50% off. but we're still having this event, and we're still
Yeah.
going to make money off the fact that you are part of our membership group. So, there are ways to engage people for free with, you're not dropping any value. There's a plan of action.
Yeah.
There's a plan of, okay, come into my store. We're having this free grand opening event. It's free. Come on in and have a drink or something like that. Sign up on our mailing list. Be a part of our membership crew. So on and so forth. And then, after you have 300, 400, 500 people who've come to your store to just visit for free, food or whatever, now you're marketing to them.
Yeah.
And that's what Facebook does now. Now you have 700, 800 million users on Facebook, and you're saying, hey, every time you post something, if you're a business and you want more than 50 people to see it, pay us $5. We'll let 2,000 people see it. Now they hold the reins of how many people see your postings and your advertising, right? And now it's just basic advertising. Pay $2,000, the whole world will see it. Pay us nothing, 50 people will see it. What do you want to do? Completely your choice. We have all the eyeballs. What do you have? They're in a position of power now, right? It's totally free. It was a value of, here's value, interact, have fun, have a good time. But we know what's going on,
I
right?
did that for my little cousin. He paid $10 and I think he got like 2,000. 2,000 what?
Yeah, because if you pay $10, it goes to like 15,000 people. And if you pay $50, you're talking 30,000 people. Like, you're never going to get that cheap of advertising. So, with any new client that I have, I'm going to say, don't go and spend $1,000 on, Suburban Essex magazine or this other magazine and so on and so forth. Blast the heck out of it on Facebook. Use Twitter. Use your social media. But if you can spend $1,000, $1,000 will get you 60 million people. You know what I mean? And it's trackable. That's the thing. It's trackable. If I pay $5,000 for a billboard on 280, sure, people are driving down 280, but I can't track that unless I put a code on that board that says, mention this billboard and come on in. How did you find out about us? So that investment, the return on investment is tough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So anyway, that goes into the third class of this stuff. Okay, so anyway, the next class is develop yourself into a brand. What was your advertising budget? And how much did you spend on your website, brochure, TV, radio spots? The point is that you didn't spend anything. You were a brand from birth, and you didn't even know it. And you've just been developing yourself day in, day out. You've been learning more about yourself. And every day that you present yourself to a new person, it's a new day for your brand to be exposed. And now, you may have been 21, and you have been that brand of, yo, I'm the crazy person, I'm out partying, and I'm out drinking, everything like that. But now you're in your 40s, and your brand is totally different.
Yeah.
So just as your personal brand changes and moves, your company brand will also, take on different shapes and forms. For example, taglines always change. One rule that we have in branding about tagline usage is that it never goes on anything permanent. So you would never see a corporate tagline on a sign, like a permanent sign. You know what I mean? Or anything that you would think that would be there that we spent like $10,000 to put up. You would just have the corporate logo up there, like on the side of the building or on a door. There's something where you'd have to scrape it off and replace it. You can put it on your collateral, put it on some T-shirts, things that, might change over time. You do a campaign for a year, and all of a sudden, it's NBA Cares, and now you have the NBA Cares logo everywhere. And then the next year, the NBA wants to do NBA for AIDS, and then but the NBA logo never changes, but the treatment of everything else may change, but the core value is still there. So your personal brand was built on your own personal core values. And this is just, just an example. People walk away and they mostly will say, oh, she's a good person, or she's sweet, or he's funny, or, cares about his family, or he treats people well. These are just, pay attention to the words that come out of people's mouths when they talk about your business. They walk away, oh, what was it like? Oh, it was awesome. It was luxurious. It was classy. You know, it was a classy establishment. It was a nice establishment. You know, listen to what people say. So, being that everybody here wants to start a business, so we've been picking on your business.
That's good.
So this is kind of like this the part of. Do you guys want to take a break, or you guys want to just bulldoze through? Because it's 8:42 now. This is kind of like a work in progress type of thing, where I kind of walk you through the naming process. So you want to just bulldoze through?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So Noel, you want to do ties, right? Okay. So let's talk about ties. What are the core values that you want your ties to represent?
Well, quality is one.
Quality. So we can. Okay. I'm imagining you're in the same boat. But are you doing, is service a part of yours, or is it just quality?
Service and price.
Service and price?
Yeah.
Are you you're making custom ones? Are you going to people's houses? Are you providing a product, or are you providing a service? Product. So services really isn't that. It's product driven.
Exactly. But again, always service, you know, when
Okay.
somebody go in and they order something, how, you know what I mean? What
Okay.
do you do after that?
Right. So you
just
want
ship
to.
it to that house and that's it? Or do you get in touch with them and know what's going on? Did you ship it? Did you receive it? Did you follow up? I excited like it?
Okay, I'm sold. So service, and then what?
Target?
Think of. Are you a liar?
No.
If I send you my money, am I gonna get my tie?
Yeah.
Okay. So it would be integrity.
Integrity.
Okay. How many ties, different types of ties are you going to sell? Like one or two or 1,000 or what? You going to have a large selection of ties, or it's just like 5?
It's gonna be, I think, small.
Small. So it's going to be a small selection of ties.
Yeah.
So scarcity might be something, or rare, something like that. Like, are you trying to create like limited editions?
Yeah, like, do like 10.
So like 10 different ties.
Yeah, let's just say I have 7 designs and I only create like
All right. Well, let's talk.
15 of those designs.
Let's talk about the manufacturing business real quick.
Okay.
Okay. We have you, who's a manufacturer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We have consumers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We have wholesale and distributors. Okay. Here's you as a manufacturer. Are you going here? Or are you going here? Or are you going here and here? Because here's wholesale distributors. So they go to big box stores, who then eventually come back to these people. All right. But we're
No.
talking orders in the tens of thousands and millions, or
Not
we're
going
talking
there.
like, here's one customer, here's another customer, here's another customer.
Exactly.
You're going individual. So
Individual.
this is a one-off. So we're talking that your ties, if you want to turn it into a business, you have to charge $10,000 a tie. How are you gonna make your money if you're selling 10 ties a year?
Well, I'm not selling 10,000 a year. I'll be selling more than that.
Okay, but what's your price point?
Well, they also go into the. I was thinking between the 30 and 50-ish.
Okay, so $30 and $50 price range for a tie. Okay.
That'll be depending on the materials and stuff like that.
So you're making the ties yourself. You're selling them for $30 to $50 each. How many ties can you turn out in a month?
Let's just say.
Let's say you could do.
Let's just say. See. 50 to 60.
50 to 60 a month. So roughly you're looking at $3,000 a month max capacity revenue.
Correct.
Okay. So all your blood, sweat, and tears goes into $3,000 a month, because if you're going to be doing this full time as a business, that's your cap off, is $3,000 a month. You don't have to think about this now. I just want you to consider
It'll
that.
be more like a part-time, pretty much.
Okay, then you cut that in half, because it's time.
Yeah.
It's time. It's going to take you time. So what I want you to think about is, if you're the manufacturer of ties, you're also the designer of ties, I imagine, right? You're designing them, you're picking out fabrics and stuff like that. So what you want to maybe study a little bit more of is the design aspect and the manufacturing of ties. Because your business model, you're either going to be haute couture, you're going to be the most ridiculous, amazing tie designer, and these ties are going to be creations that nobody has ever seen in their life, and they're going to be so unique that celebrities are going to want to pay $10,000 for them. Because if your max capacity is only going to be paying, making 50 of them, they're all one of a kind, right? So that's the value, is that you're a ridiculous designer, you're selling one of a kind, limited edition ties, right? So there's this whole scarcity approach to your business. So if you go to any fashion show on 7th on 6th or anything like that, those designer dresses are selling for like $20,000 a piece. But each designer has 3 different tiers. They have manufacturing, right? So those designs, the ones that are more ready to wear designs, they will then go to the manufacturing plant with the design and get all the forms cut out for them and so on and so forth, and get them ready for production. And the fashion show is just for the buyers to say, oh, I love that. I want 50,000 units of that for Walmart or Target or whatever. And then they ship them 6 months later, on the opposite side of the spectrum. I'm saying January fashion shows, ship for the fall. September fashion shows, ship for the spring. Okay? So you're in this business. You're in that cyclical business of, I need to come up with a line of ties that are ridiculously awesome, that I can contact a factory in China and say, hey, these are my ridiculously awesome ties. Can you manufacture them? If by chance I get a relationship with somebody who buys for Macy's or Saks Fifth Avenue or something like that, and they want to carry my ties, can I do that? Can I capitalize on that? So that's why I say, explore the manufacturing route, be an awesome designer, but have your manufacturing in place, because then you have a really big business. Then you have a big opportunity, right? And then your quality and service and integrity and creativity is a core tenet. Innovation becomes a core tenet, right? Those are super, super important. Apple products, the number one thing that comes to mind, innovation, right? They completely killed the market with their innovation, their innovative thinking, right? That's a core tenet of the business. Everything they do was always one step ahead of the marketplace. We had mobile phones before, but the iPhone killed it, So innovation is a core tenet. As a designer of anything, innovation should be in your core branding packet. Okay? Hippolito,
Yes, sir.
same innovation, creativity, because you're a custom tailor.
Yes, I am.
Quality, service, integrity. Now, do we want to put in luxury into there? Do you deal in luxurious fabrics? Or is your business creating a sense of style and luxury for people?
Uh, yes, because I mean the for you to get to the luxury stuff, you have to combine. Example, the material is important, the finish is important. The most important thing is the way you make these people feel when they wear whatever you create, you know.
Mhm.
And this is where
It's custom.
it's custom. It's like the England people say bespoke because it's about the experience, you know. What you feel when you go to a tailor and you have you measurement take a pattern cut especially for you. You cannot pay for that. You will see it. You know, it's like if you get there, you don't want to go back because it feels so good and people will see that.
All right, so you ready for your $1 million tagline? Results that money can't buy. You're creating a sense of happiness that you can't get. Money can't buy it, right? Money can't buy happiness, right?
Yep.
So when people say, "What do you do?" don't tell them that you're a suit maker. Don't ever say that you are a custom tailor. Just tell them, "I make people happy."
I like this line. I like it.
Right?
Yeah.
And they're like, next question, what do you think the next question is going to be?
In what way?
How?
Yeah.
It opens up the line for your communication. Now you say, oh, well, I make beautiful suits. I make them look really good. And that makes everybody happy.
Yeah, like, and going to the same point back, you know, like you were talking about my brother Ty. One thing most of the people don't know is like bunch of those companies that you see in 7th Avenue and Bryant Park or wherever they do it now, half of those companies are broke until they really get to the point where they have those popular products like you was talking about that been made in Dominican Republic, in China. This is where they make their money. They don't make their money selling a $50,000 dress. Because why? Because in reality, this is publicity. Most of those companies, they losing money giving artists, stars, those stuff for free to be out there. And this is what's gonna put them in the mass
This is the one who
market
just
place.
suicide.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, it's 5, 6 million down, but they have the houses, they have the car, and they have to keep this face, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's like the Versace house. After they killed Versace, they were given the underwear
Mm.
because, and the fight between the brother and the family is because, I mean, we're spending so much money sending the dresses to Diana, sending that, and we have 50 million down, you know?
Mm-hmm.
They have the good luck that they come from behind, you know, and then they start getting those contracts and sending this mass production stuff. This is one of the toughest
Mm-hmm.
business. People think it's a game. It's not a game, you know, because most of the designers of the tailor, they make enough to be alive. But if you are lucky enough and you have to start in place, you can come like from this guy, Jason Hu. He come from here to heaven in 6 months.
Oh yeah.
And you know what they do to make this money? I used to work with
Yeah, but when you go to his website, he got like 2 dresses on the website.
This is what the dresses that made him famous.
Yeah, he got like 3. I'm like, okay, I'm like, where's the rest?
But like, that's all portfolio. But
This
at the end
is
of the
what
day,
they do. You know
he's a
what
designer.
they
He's
do,
making
what
seasons.
they
He's
do
making
is-
his lines every season, and then he's going mass production with
and
it.
they send to make 10,000 dresses to China. They then
Mm-hmm.
bring it to the factory in the United States, and then they change the label, and then they put it made in
Right.
America, and then you pay 700, 1,500 for the same dress that you're gonna pay 200 because they change. It's
Okay.
not an issue.
So let's keep it moving along. So we got some core values. Kim, as a singer and as a performer, let's talk about your core values. Because, in the music industry, once you get in and you're pulled in all these different directions of, oh, Kim, if you did this, you get more record sales. If you did this, you get more record sales. If you became this person or that person, like Mariah Carey was like, kind of a gospel type of really pure singer, and all of a sudden somebody's like, put your boobs out there. And then now we know Mariah Carey is Mariah Carey it is today. She wasn't always like that. That wasn't her brand. Her brand was like all about her voice. Everything was about the music.
And I think them changing that really dropped down her value way low.
Doing
Yeah,
American Idol was not a good thing for her.
Right.
Technically speaking, after Whitney Houston died, there's no really claiming that spot. You know what I mean? Mariah Carey could have been the one claiming that spot because she has the voice.
She has the voice.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But she's singing.
But she doesn't have the same. But she doesn't have the same voice that she had
Back
back
then.
then. She does not have that voice anymore.
Yeah, but she tell her to hip hop and R&B. You know?
And that's the thing. Trends change, and where your brand goes, it may be different because it's a person. It's a living, breathing thing. Your brand is constantly evolving, and if you see these companies who didn't evolve at the times, and they, that happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you understand that personally, you can change. As you grow older, you're going to change, in many different shapes. But your core values will probably stay the same. You're still going to be the same person on the inside no matter what. But from the time that you're 12 years old to the time that you're 18, you may have gone from wearing no makeup to wearing makeup. Or to, being a fashionista, to being a jock. You never know where all of a sudden, because people are going to do, so you like, oh, you're a jock, you're a tomboy, you must be, really tough and strong and stuff like that. Or, oh, hey, what happened? 2 years ago, you were wearing soccer cleats and now you're in high heels. Like, what's going on? So you're constantly changing. And your business is the same thing, too. 2 years ago, he's at 344 Bloomfield Avenue. In 10 years, he's at 155 Madison, 5th Avenue on the corner. You never know, where life will take you. You just got to be open to that journey and that change. But your core values will stay the same. Now, the question is what's your vision? And what's your mission with your business? And that helps give you your guide and your pathway to where your brand is going to go. Right? So, right now, your vision and your mission statement about your company would be to provide quality, luxurious suits with the best service to who?
To who? To my customers.
But who would you want them to
Who is
be?
your customers?
My customers, they're gonna be professional with, let's say, from mid to high salary or make money. How do you say that in English?
Income.
Income.
So high net worth, what we call your high net worth individuals, executives, C-level people, managers, anybody who makes over $250,000 a year, who's in the top 1% of the population, is your marketplace. All ethnicities, all demographics, but however, you can market to each different one depending on what your goal is. For example, I could be like, yo, you know what I want to do? I want to dominate the Korean market. That's a great niche market. It's a great mission for me to say, you know, I'm going to make music and I'm just going to be the pop star, the number one Korean pop star in the world. I'm going to dominate the Korean market first. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, I'm not being racist or anything like that. I'm just like, that's my market. You know what I mean? So if there's a market that you think that you can dominate, think about that if that's part of your mission. Now the other thing is your mission a little bit more worldly, or is it more cause related? You know, like some companies may say, you know, we want to be the number one clothier, but the greenest company in the world. We only want to use recycled fabric, all natural. You know, like these are more mission-driven statements that will help you build your niche as a brand. So think about that. Like, where do I want to be? If my ties are made of silk, you know, we make sure that all of our workers are paid a living wage. You know, that's a mission of we're helping the world, and that's a story. So all this weeds down to a brand story, right? What's your brand story? What's really behind the brand? And when you're talking to somebody about your company, what is it that is that feel-good moment? Or you could be like, yeah, you know, we started out in a garage, but we knew what we wanted to do was what we wanted to make sure that everybody in America could use this product. And we wanted to make it affordable, and so we worked every day to make this product affordable so that everybody could use it. Or we wanted every executive to wear our suits. And we worked every day to make sure that we reached out to every executive that we could and talked to them and went to their office, and we knocked down those doors and banged down those doors to make sure that our mission of every executive wears our suits, that's how we went about making sure that our mission was completed. So, same thing with the ties. What do you want your mission to be? That's really, really big in your branding exercise. What is your mission for your business? And what's your mission for your life? You know, as you are a personal brand, what's your own life mission? What's your purpose? You know, and then what is your vision? How do you see the world? How have you impacted the world, or how will you impact the world? The vision of how you will impact the world should be a part of your brand statement.
Let me ask you something. Like, one of the biggest limitations that most creative people have is like you could be loving what you do, very creative, perfectionist, you know, great out there, delivery, but sometimes it's tough to combine this side with the business side. The business side, like you were talking about that, like you really have the capacity and the drive to go out there and really kill it, you know, because especially in this area in fashion, if you sample Ralph Lauren, he started doing ties. If you see most of the people who work in his company and then they resign when they go in their own and really are very successful too, especially when they come from the vendors size, you know, like when you have to deal with the company, the buyer. I mean, those people, they are not designers, they are not technicians, but they sit with you like a technician and they know what they want, they know what's gonna be coming in 3 years, and they make a bunch of money, and when they go on their own, they kill it. But sometimes as a technician, it's hard for you to find out how you can put those two
Absolutely. I mean, I live in the same world. You know, I am a skilled technician at creating design and brand and everything like that. And my business struggles with the same thing sometimes. Sometimes I'm out there and I'm trying to sell and I'm trying to sell and I'm trying to sell, and I got projects that are on the back burner, like look at me in the face, like I'm like, oh man, I got to get those done too. And all of a sudden, for me to be successful means that I'm up till 4 a.m. working on a project and trying to get it done so that I can collect on a payment and stuff like that. You know what I mean? We all have the same problems. If you're creative and you are the creative person, you're not necessarily wired to be a business person. And where business owners come into a problem is lack of capital. Because if you had $1 million sitting in your bank account, you could say, I'm just going to go find somebody who can be my CEO of my company and just have them run that. And I'll just pay them $80,000 a year and they'll make me $1 million and I'll be fine. And I'll be busy all the time because when I'm here working my butt off, they're out there selling. They're doing their job, I'm doing my job. But who has that capital? If you have good credit, then that problem can be solved by, if you have $20,000 or something like that, you could bring that to the bank and say, here's 20,000, can you give me another 80,000? And here we have an 80-20, split on a loan, or there's micro lenders that can give you 50,000 just to get somebody started, So you just have to draw up that plan and that use of funds so that you can move forward, with that, because that's going to be a struggle.
Well, I like where I am because, well, number one, like, not rich, but I'm comfortable. So I can do what I want to do, and I am my instrument. So basically I have to take care of me, and I mean, I can promote, and then I have other people who promote me. Just, you have a wedding, you have an event, you need someone to say, use her, and when if you're not hungry, and it's just you can kind of set what you want. I mean, I think you can make things the way you want them to. It's maybe a little harder if you're relying on the money to live. But if you're able to, if you can do what you love doing and set the parameters, and I think I can stick with, doing what I want. Like, I'm not putting my boobs out. I'm not,
Right.
Will you sing at the Greasy Spoon? No.
All right.
I'm not singing there. And
You're able to be assertive. The key word, though, that, whether you pay them or whether you don't, you need somebody who's your ambassador. You need somebody who's your salesman, whether they're being paid or not. Clients are sometimes your best salesmen. If you have clients.
Yeah,
And you know what? Tell them. Say, listen, everybody that you service, say, if you come in here next time with a friend, I'll give you your suit 50% off, and I'll give 10% off for your friends.
Yeah, it works. You have to give to get, and yeah, I mean, it's a hard work, and you cannot do it alone.
Right.
You need support.
Right, absolutely. Okay, so let's keep rolling because we got about 20 minutes left, I think. So we talked about some core values. We talked about your mission and your vision statements of how you want to impact the world, and those are some things that you could think about in your spare time. And part of designing this course was about coming up with a name for whatever you're trying to do. If you do ties, or if you're working in suits, or if you're doing singing, or you want to create a band or something like that, and just giving you a little bit of background about kind of the trade secret of how we generate names for different things, like how a lot of these brand names kind of came about. And one of my slides that I have in here is kind of a quirky one, but the second one after this, if you flip it over, you got cocaine infused cola, and you got Coca-Cola. I mean, that comes straight from what Coca-Cola was. You know what I mean? So, if you look at all the pharmaceutical companies that are making, different products all the time that are launching these new ad campaigns. They have all these brand managers who sit back and they do this process all day long. They talk about, okay, well, what does the drug do? Well, it cures cancer. Okay, great. Let's write down cancer. Let's name some things that revolve around cancer. Chemotherapy, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like, we just keep on going. Okay? So, what else can we think of metaphorically that would go around that topic? Oh, well, strength and courage and, helpfulness and compassion and, all these different ideas that surround that idea of whatever that thing does, whatever that brand is involved in. You start to write all these things down. So this is part of the process. So we're talking ties, we're talking suits and customization and quality and service, we're talking singing. Let's talk about some things that relate to that. Let's think about, let's take one person. Who wants to be the guinea pig?
Me.
Want to be the guinea pig? Okay, let's talk about, all right, so all three of us, we'll just sit here and brainstorm a little bit, we got suits on the line. But what is it about suits? Let's say,
Oh, yeah, man. On this page?
we're on this page that's empty. We just want to write down as many names as possible, many words as possible that revolve around, suits. What are metaphorically, similes, anything. It could be strength, armor,
I like this one,
power, masculine. You only do men's suits, or you do female suits too?
I really do everything from men to women, but what I'm trying to do just now is to concentrate in the men suit area, because I think it's once you concentrate it and it's so huge the market that if I get like 0.000 point anything is crazy,
Mhm.
If I really go out there. Let me tell you what I'm doing. Can I tell you what my next? What I'm doing is I'm working into getting one of those UPS vans, and then I'm gonna build up a tailor shop inside the van.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm gonna work it out all the sample, all the stuff, and basically work hard in the restyling business, like restyle the suit, and go out there with the sample and everything, because example, most people that sell suit, they're business people, but they don't know really about personal.
Right.
So I think
Well, I'll
that-
tell you, your competitors do this already. I know a bunch of them already that I've researched on their websites and everything like that, and I've read about them. They have a whole mobile unit.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, it's like you always have a way to be different.
Absolutely. This
And
is where your
the
branding comes
fact-
into place.
The fact most of those people, because I've been checking out too, they good business people. I think I have something in my side that I don't know if because I know how to do it, but the people who come to my store, they always go out happy and they bring people.
Mm-hmm.
So because I'm not sending somebody to do the measurement. Now I've been doing this thing for 15 years, so it's a value in that,
Mm-hmm.
Experience.
And like you was telling before, the same thing if you go to the beauty parlor and the guy put one of the assistant, his come and cut you hair, this is where I think I can make a difference. And the fact that I'm a small guy, so I think I'm gonna have more space to move.
Okay. So another word that comes to mind is petite.
You just say petite.
Yeah, you just said I'm a small guy, so I say petite, and I say mobile. He wants to be mobile. He wants to be convenient.
I tried my project in the crazy thing in Kickstarter. They rejected because they say I have, they don't support business, but I mean, they've been supporting people with my same idea, with the same, it's all about you creating a company, but anyway, it's something that I'm gonna do
Mhm.
in my
That's great. So, more stuff that relates to the clothing. What about animals? Any animals that relate to the suits? What are your
Yeah,
favorite animals in relation to?
you can,
What are some animals that maybe communicate quality or service, or any animals, or any inanimate objects, or anything in nature, anything
uh,
Like the jaguar, like that.
like a jaguar, like a cat,
uh,
like a black sleek, sleek cat.
sleep, that's a good word.
Lions obviously are always good for
That's
meal,
mine.
power,
Macho.
rams. Uh, what else? What's the thing? Boxers, dogs. Dogs are pretty tough sometimes.
We still working on suits?
Describing like.
Just
like
different
words.
ideas like that relate to his core tenets. Quality, service. What was another core tenet that he had? He's got creativity in there.
Happiness.
Oh, here's some visuals of creativity, like parrots. Very colorful. You know, parrots are very colorful. Different types of birds, toucans. Those are very colorful. You can go really exotic, and you can go into the fish area where these are colorful fish. Just thinking about all different things that represent these ideas that are visual. Okay, so we have
Structure, like
structure, like architectural, right?
That sounds cool.
Right, because there's a certain design and architectural stuff to it. Some graphic nature. There's what else?
you said masculine, but I like manly too.
Sure.
Because masculine these days
So what are some things we could think of that represent luxury?
Luxury,
quality.
First thing that comes to my mind, but
Diamonds, furs, diamonds.
onyx.
Onyx is good. Sterling silver. Chandeliers.
I'm saying like Art Deco, like the Chrysler building, like all those, like the mark. What do you call it? The
Style. So the
like
talk-
the Great Gatsby, like that whole thing. You see, like,
oh the Renaissance.
mhm.
That's a great period of luxury. Could be the Gatsby. That's kind of cool. Opulence. Opulence and wealth. Let's see what else.
Best dressed.
Best dressed.
The Oscars. I'm seeing like everything's about the red carpet.
Red carpet. Paparazzi. Celebrity. Private. Exclusive. Exclusive.
Unique, right?
Unique. Yep.
Elegance. you said?
Elegance. Rare.
Hmm?
Rare. Gems. Rare gems. Collectible.
Designer.
Designer. Designer. Limited. What else?
I'm not sure if it's like, is it fashion forward or is it more classic? Like you're, like,
Oh, classic. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Fashion forward is good.
What can-
There's no really wrong answer. This is straight up anything you think of that relates to it that you think is right. Just shout it out, and we'll just write it down and record it. Fashion forward is good.
in demand.
In demand. Ooh, trending. I wish I had better handwriting.
Desirable.
Huh?
Desirable.
Desirable.
Recognition?
Lustful.
Is it, sexy.
Sexy. Shimmer.
Recognition. No? This is the suit.
Huh?
Recognition.
Recognition. Stature.
Mhm.
Model. And then of course, we have professional. Professional.
Definition. Like, you look up, so when you look up this word, this is what you see. So it's like, when you think of a suit, you think of Hippolito. Like you're defining.
Define. Ooh, that brings up divine.
Ultimate.
Ultimate.
Refined.
Refined. Refined, that's good. Chiseled. Sculpted. Sculpted. Okay,
Impressive.
impressive. Okay, so we have a nice little selection here because we're just running out of time on this, but everybody seems like they're back. The only one person that we're missing is Sotiris, so everybody else is in for the whole series. This is good. So this exercise, do this for your own brand, your own company, right? And then you're going to start to pair things up. And you can use half of a word, you can use a whole word, you can use a quarter of a word, you can use 2 letters from a word, doesn't matter. But you're just pairing ideas together. So you might want to say, refined gentleman, or, opulent lion, or elegant ram, or, unique stature.
Yeah, but does that work in this case though? Since you already have a business, don't you have a name already?
It's just we go rebranding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have like
or the tagline of the, with them.
So does he, I don't know if when you proceed, he has to change the whole name of the business?
It depends on how. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like a company like United Airlines or something like that. Yeah, I mean, if they rebrand, that's a huge investment. Small business, if you have your logo on a website and a business card, not a huge investment. You know,
Yeah.
maybe you paid for an awning or something like that. Not a huge investment to rebrand and go in a different direction. But if you have your stuff everywhere, then you really got to think about rebranding it if you want to make that investment.
And what happened when, like in my case, I have even my label and I've been using it like for,
Wasn't, I'm sorry, wasn't where your company was?
it's refurbished fashion, but the problem is me trying to get to the suit stuff, it doesn't.
It doesn't translate because you're communicating.
Yeah, because
You're
people, when they
communicating.
think about refurbished, think about used.
Right,
They don't
right.
think about new, you know?
Vintage is a better,
My name is,
But even vintage, you're still thinking about used.
but usually, like, I mean, you have a select group of people that you're looking, that you want to
You could
sell
say
to.
it's throwback threads. You know what I mean? Then you're throwing it back, and then you could communicate that your style is vintage. But if you're communicating that it's vintage, if you're communicating that it's refurbished, what are the things that are refurbished? Televisions, phones, technology, things like that. So you really have to rethink about your brand positioning if you're going after higher clientele.
It's like, my main name is Hipólito. Ponantes is what I use forever, for years. But then I have problem here because it's tough for the American people to say Hipólito. Then I start using my second name, that is Antonio, and then it's like sometimes people call me and I don't know if I'm Antonio or Hipólito because I don't know with whom I'm being talking.
So why don't you just change it to Antonio Lito?
I think Hipólito is unique than Antonio.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's easier for the American recognition. Like my name is Nicholas Anthony Felicicchi Bosco. It's a full Italian name, okay? But if I had a fashion line, my fashion line would be Antonio Bosco.
Yeah,
That'd be it. You know what I mean? So something is simple, something that people can easily identify with. Great, okay. And you have it in your name. You just play with the letters a little bit. That's another thing, And all of your core tenets and everything like we just talked about, we have all these type of representations that play into your brand, because now we're thinking about your brand and these words that we just came up with. So even if your name is, you change it to whatever, I don't know, like I said, Antonio Lito or whatever, right? And even if it's just a Hipólito, whatever. Everything that's represented here that we just wrote down is a representation of that. So any one of these things comes with a visual.
Yeah.
And we can utilize those visuals to represent your brand and your brand message. You know what I mean? So you can see how it starts to come together. The book starts to write itself once you go through this type of exercise. You know what I mean? And it's a thought process, and that's really all it is. It's a thought process, but nobody teaches us this, right? You kind of have to stumble upon it as a business owner yourself to kind of figure out who am I as a business? Am I just, another restaurant? Am I another Chinese restaurant? Am I another Italian restaurant? And what's going to be it, that sets us apart from a brand perspective,
Now, can you do this exercise for like a DBA?
For a DBA?
Yeah.
You can do it for anything you want to. You can do it for how you want to shave your beard.
I do have a
What does
business
that mean?
name, doing business ads.
Yeah.
Because when I first started the business, it was supposed to be selling stuff on the internet, and I got a business, tax ID, and everything's already situated.
That's your legal entity.
Yeah.
But your business or what you're running, you're doing a business as, is not your legal entity. Like my legal entity is Bosco Design Group, but my website is Nick Bosco Design. People write me checks to Bosco Design Group, but they know me as Nick Bosco and then Nick Bosco Design. But I mean, most people, I promote it either way. However, if you become big, you want to define who you're going to invest in. Meaning, if I'm Viacom, and before Viacom had 50 different brands under it, maybe Viacom had MTV. Now, nobody really knows about Viacom, but that's the financial holdings company of MTV and everything, right? So they decided to be a manufacturer of brands. That's all they are. They're a manufacturer of media, and then they create a different brand for the media, right? But they all are under the umbrella of Viacom. And every one of their shows or content has a certain level of quality that has been communicated to them from the top down, from the brand of Viacom all the way out, right? So they've invested in the brand Bible of Viacom from a quality and internal employee perspective. This is what's expected of you. This is how we operate. This is all of our procedures, and this is how we make our stuff awesome, right? Now, some companies, they go the other way around and they totally screw it up because they create all these different things and then they create these different companies around each one of them, but with no core brand around the center of it all. You know, it's like we talk about, all these human beings rolling around the place with no core, thing holding them all together. There's all this chaos, and that's how business is. Right. So let's say you have your tie business, right? And you've filed your company as Ties Incorporated, but you also have a DBA of Elegant Ties, right? Then you decide, well, these ties are going pretty well. I want to make some shoes now, but your shoes, you haven't developed your brand of your parent company. So you haven't decided who your shoes are going to be marketed to. So now your ties are marketed to somebody who's like, paying $200 per tie. But your shoes are marketed to somebody who's paying like $50 a shoe or something like that. It just doesn't fit with your core brand because you haven't dealt with your core brand. You don't know what your core brand is of your parent company who's manufacturing this. So just imagine if Canon cameras, decided that they're going to make some type of product, but it's just poor quality. They're just, buying it from new vendors in Thailand, and they haven't done the checkup and, the 50-point, checkup that Canon would do to try to figure out, if they're a capable vendor to make the quality of product. That would be a huge, huge collapse of their brand because all of a sudden people are like, none of these cameras work. Oh, who makes them? Oh, Canon makes these cameras. Oh, man. Cameron, whatever happened to Canon cameras? They used to be quality, and the brand is shot. And Canon's the parent company, and they make printers, copiers, cameras, and all these different things. But the parent company of Canon, the quality aspect has been transferred to everybody throughout the company. So no matter what you do, once you establish your core business, which is your legal entity, whatever, you want to invest in the branding Bible of that company. You have to set the standard for exactly what you want your company to represent and what you want everybody who is your ambassador to represent as they go out into the world and spread the good news.
Trickle down to everything else. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. Because anybody slips up, that's your name out there. It's your brand name. And they're representing the company. And they're representing all the 50 years of hard work that you put into building the brand. And if you haven't set them straight, then they're out there and they're posting selfies on Facebook and they're, drinking and they're like, yo, what's up? Like they're not representing your brand, So hopefully that helps. So anyway, the next page of this, as you want to go through it, Polito, you want to weed it down like the NCAA,
Where are we? We are in
The next page, as you flip over from where it says select your favorite words that represent your company. So take out of this list that you just made, select your favorite ones out of there, right, that you feel that represent your company the best, and play with them. Usually what I do...
here, right?
Could you create an acronym too?
Absolutely. Listen, this is the creative process. There's no wrong answer. If you look at it and it matches with your core values, right? And it communicates what you want it to. It does, but see, at the end of the day, this portion of it, the funny part about it, is that you know your core values. You could start playing with letters. You could say, I like uni and unique, and I like vine. What about univine? I like univine. That's cool. Or how about I like onyx, but I like gems. Maybe I'll just take the G from gems. How about Jonix? You know what I mean? It doesn't mean anything. It has no meaning whatsoever. It's a brand new word. But guess what? You can own it. You can trademark it. You can copyright it. And you own it. And guess what? 9 times out of 10, if you do a search on the internet to see if you can own the URL, I bet you'll be able to find the URL because you created something that wasn't there before. Right? Now it's a proprietary name for your business that didn't exist before. So when you look at how you want to brand yourself, it's okay. Because everything and all these words that we wrote down can be turned into visuals. Okay? You turn those into visuals, you put those behind your logo, now you have a brand image. Okay? That's what we're going to be going over the next phase. How do you create these brand images? I just kind of explained it to you, but then we can actually go into, how that happens and how the simplicity of your logo is key. People are like, yo, I want you to do a logo. I want to have a lion over on the side of it. And I want to have a limousine coming out of it. And I want it to say, Ray's Limousines. You're like, yeah, okay.
I had this girl once, she wanted to do party planners, event planning. And then she had the name. She take her mother name and her family name and combine them. But she wanted and I'm like, and she wanted one of those old school leather, you know what I mean? And it's like, okay, like, why?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what she wanted, and she would stick to that until somebody was like, okay, I'll do that for you. And the person was like, how about this? It's just like plain simple, and she's like, oh, that's really nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I like this one better
Right.
than what I wanted.
Right.
So,
Well, and that's where artistic expression and subjectivity of the viewer, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. So, subjective nature of developing graphics or developing artwork for somebody comes into play. What's always a funny experience is when you're designing a logo or something like that for somebody, and you're all cool. You're like, yo, this is great. I love this, man. This is fantastic. And then their wife or husband walks in the room, is like, yo, why is that pink? And you've gone through like 100 different rounds of this with the person. You're like, oh, well, my husband doesn't like pink, so we got to change it to something else, And you're like, oh, why? Or, you go through all these rounds and like, okay, this is fantastic. Now I just got to get this approved by my board of directors. 20 people. You're like, oh, this is never going to end. You know what I mean? So it's always going to be a challenge to be subjective. So that's why it's like when you go through this process, there's so many things you could pull from. Because you've identified so many different words that relate to the business. And then again, we're talking about the human experience, and how to relate my business with you. You know what I mean? And what makes sense for us as a connective tissue from a brand perspective.
your name doesn't really have to
Doesn't have to mean
define
anything.
what you do. Like Coca-Cola.
No.
You know?
What is Google?
Search engine.
What was Google before Google existed? It was nothing. It was nothing. I mean, Yahoo was something we said on a horse. It was never an internet brand. You have to think of when you have that idea in the cloud of ideas, you pull it out of the cloud and you put it on paper, you make it real, you make it into something that never was before. And then it is something. And that's kind of the mysticism of life, like the creative aspect of life. That's why I tell the kids, just write everything down. They say, oh, Dad, I had this idea. Just write it down. Because it's not real until you actually put your pen to paper. You talk all you want. That's why you have all these people sitting in barbershops and they're talking and talking and talking. $1 million ideas are shooting across the room and they're all like, okay, who's going to do it? Well, I ain't doing it. You know what I mean? The moment that you decide to just take action and to actually just write it down, remember copyright laws are, if you write it, you pretty much own it, until somebody else tries to sue you for it. But then you can mail it to yourself in the poor man's copyright, or you can file it down. As soon as you file it, you own it. It could be the simplest thing. It could be, I wrote an idea down about a pamphlet that I want to create, and I'm just going to copyright that and pay my $30 and send it down to the Library of Congress, and now I own that idea and whatever.
Can you repeat that?
So like whenever you write something down, if, like let's say for your business, you have a certain way of going about your business. If you write it down, and you can copyright it, or you can patent a system of something that you do. You know what I mean?
And for that you have to write to the Congress.
Library of Congress.
Okay.
If you just go to Library of Congress website, just Google Library of Congress, and then they'll give you all the paperwork for anything that you want to copyright. It's the Office of Trademark and Copyright. All your intellectual property is protected in those ways, but it all comes down to paying their filing fees, and you can do it through an attorney.
Which is not that
What is
expensive.
the difference
It's not that
between doing the patentization and that?
Well, copyright basically protects, anything that's in the written form. It could be an artistic expression. It could be a photograph. It could be an illustration. It could be words.
Song.
It could be a song, right? Patents are usually for functional uses of things or processes of things that are very unique. And then there's two different types of patents. There's a functional patent, where example, like if I designed, this pen, but I wanted this thing to be able to pull out and become an antenna, like that would be like a functional design. But like let's say I wanted to just change the curved nature of this pen, that would be like a design patent. So there's functional, where you actually are completely creating a whole new function for something, and then there's a design patent where you're just taking like an existing product and enhancing it, making a garbage can with a lid as opposed to just an empty pail. That'd be like a design patent. You know what I mean? So you could patent different types of things, but
Can you I wanted to for my tie, I wanted to use like this part as a advertisement.
you can, yeah.
You're over.
I'm over my time.